Hello, everybody. Welcome to Junk Miles, talking Short Circuit with Doogie Horner.
Yes, we are. I have a lot of thoughts and emotions.
Yeah,
regarding this film.
I'm a big fan of Doogie. I am so excited to find out why he chose this. Like Doogie, is a very, very, maybe our most creative friend. I mean, on all fronts.
Yes.
He's a writer. He's an illustrator, an animator.
Dance.
He does it all. And he's a bit out there. And I think that's why he's so successful in his design career, his comedy career. And I'm always kind of amazed when I see like what's it like that guy into? And then you find out Short Circuit is the movie he picked.
He's into everything.
Yeah. Chip, how was your day? It's cold in Philadelphia. What do you do with Franklin on such a cold day?
Well, I can tell you what I'm doing with a cat right now is just spending a lot of extra money on heat because our one cat, Ernie, so we have our, I guess it would be forced air heat through vents in the floor.
Sure.
So one of our cats right now, for most of the day, just lays on one of the vents.
Nice. So
it just takes in all of the heat.
And then no one else gets that heat?
Not really, no.
It's his.
It's all Ernie's. It's Ernie's world. And we're just
I can picture like the two cats just hanging by the heat and like Franklin kind of safe distance away being like, man, I'd love to get me some of that heat.
Yeah, but he's afraid. He wants to get the heat off of us. I mean, that's his MO.
Does he basically snuggle up at night when you and Kim settle down, watching a little whatever you're watching?
Yes. And what he'll do too is if one of us gets out of bed or gets up off of the couch, if we've been there for a while, he will immediately, I mean, if we're sitting on the couch together, he'll sit between us. I'll get up to, let's just say, refresh my drink.
Yeah.
And from the time I go.
Can I guess what happens?
Yes.
That little SOB steals your seat as fast as he can.
Yes. And so he collects that warmth. And then if I try to very gently move him,
not doing
horrible growling accent. Just growls.
Yes.
Just growl. Never bites, but just really growls if I have to move him.
Yeah. This girl right here, Star baby. Come here, Star. Star. Shelby, we call her, she has the seat of importance. Shelby always gets a seat of importance on the couch. She demands it. She gets it. And then Star right here is learning all about getting a seat of importance, stealing seats. Kelly leaned up. She just leaned up on the couch to like do something for Una. Star jumped behind her back, forced her and stole her seat. It was one of the most expert moves I've ever seen a dog stealing warmth.
You have to give him credit.
Yeah. And we laugh and we're like, they're so cute. And then if Kelly tries to like move the dog, the whole family boos her. No, it's Star's seat now. Be nice, right?
She earned it. She 100% earned it. Franklin has a new turtleneck. It's actually a hand-me-down turtleneck from one of Kim's former dogs from when she was a child, or a young lady, I should say. Yeah. And it's a turtleneck that he likes to wear. He's very fashionable in it, and he wears it outdoors, but sometimes indoors he will wear it as well. He just decides.
It's tough to take it off him, right? Like it's on him. You don't want to have to keep taking it off, putting it on.
Yeah. So usually from between our, let's say, dinner walk and our nighttime walk, he'll usually keep his sweater on.
Mm-hmm. It must be nice. Yeah, Shelby has 2 in a rotation now. They end up getting very stretched out. So as soon as one gets stretched out, we have the other one waiting. Like my laundry consists of doing laundry when Shelby's sweaters need to be done. Then everybody else's laundry gets done.
Dog sweaters. Speaking of laundry, we just had a big day the other day. We had people coming into our apartment and putting a new washer dryer in. Very exciting.
Isn't it great?
Very exciting. We have not had a washer. Our washer dryer just died.
And they're impossible to get, right? Like, are they like refrigerators that are hard to get or no?
Yes, to a certain extent. Ours, we learned, was definitely not new. It's definitely repurposed, the one that we got from probably another unit. But the problem with ours is that we have this, I don't even want to call it a laundry room, off the back. I don't know if you ever saw it. It's in the back of our apartment, right off of our bedroom. It's a tiny, it's basically a walk-in closet,
right?
That houses an up and down washer dryer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know how the people got the original washer dryer into. They must have built the room around the washer dryer.
Right. They had a plot of land
Yes.
They started with the washer and dryer, knowing, and then they built the house around it.
Put up walls, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm a bit of a Philly historian, especially
Yes.
South Philly, and so many of the houses were built that way.
Yes. The Maytag, I think it was the Maytag surge of 38.
Mm-hmm.
So I think our maintenance guy was just dreading it for 2 years and basically just so I mean we did have a
Didn't you have an old-fashioned washboard and you would just wear like blue denim overalls, no shirt, and you would just wash the things on the washboard?
Take it down to the Schuylkill.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a cob pipe and I did all my washing. So so we did have a washer dryer. We have one in the basement for the building for the 4 units.
Yeah.
But so we'd have to go outside, go into the basement, use quarters to use for the thing. But now finally we got our washer dryer back and it is delightful, Jeff. I got to tell you.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a better feeling than when you go to your laundry basket, you're out of the shower and one of your favorite t-shirts is right there on top of the basket?
It's the best.
Like I have 2 in rotation, just a plain blue t-shirt. I love it. And I do the laundry, so it shouldn't be a surprise. But when it's in my bedroom and I'm like, oh, what t-shirt? Look at that right there.
There it
freshly
is,
laundered.
right there waiting for you.
Oh.
That's actually another thing that our darling cat Ernie likes to do is if we take our clothes out of the dryer, you throw them onto the bed in order, just in a big pile in order to fold them. Well,
yeah.
If he gets wind of it, he'll just jump in and make it his own warm mountain of cloth.
God, yeah.
So sometimes we have to just let the pile sit there for a few hours so our cat can lie in it and feel special.
Isn't it amazing all the concessions you make to the wild animals you brought into your house?
Yeah, it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous, Jeff.
Chip, I got great news. There's no better feeling than a fresh t-shirt, put that on, and then you see that your very special guest has entered the waiting room.
We back in the days of early days of comedy in Philadelphia, we used to call him the warm t-shirt of Philadelphia comedy.
Whoa. He'd be happy to hear that. He probably hasn't heard that in a while.
No.
Let's let him in, Chip. Let's get this young gentleman. Admit Doogie Horner. Let's see what's happening. I picture him like in a room of just like fantastic, like Willy Wonka.
Okay.
It'll be, what do you think?
I see a rocking chair.
A rocking chair?
In a sort of like maybe like a bearskin rug.
Oh.
Maybe we won't see anything because, it's just his. So it's, here.
Oh.
Oh.
Whoa. We're both kind of correct.
Closer. I think you were closer, Jeff.
Doogie, we're trying to predict what sort of environment we would see you in. I predicted kind of a Willy Wonka-esque backdrop where there's just like magical items, bric-a-brac. Yeah. And I believe, Chip, you said just a rocking chair and a pipe.
Rocking chair, pipe, bearskin rug.
There we go.
Yeah. That's about right, Doogie. Doogie, can you tell? Oh, what record are we spinning right there?
I see Paul McCartney.
2. Did you guys ever listen to that one?
Which
one?
McCartney 2.
Okay. The sequel.
It's really it's known for, it's like a really weird album. It's a lot of like electronic stuff and he recorded it all himself. It's like a solo album and I really like it though.
So no one could tell him no?
Yeah, exactly. Did you guys
that's kind of risky with Paul McCartney.
Did you guys watch the documentary?
Not yet. How about you, Jeffrey?
I got through, I'd say 40 minutes of it. And okay. I couldn't do it. It was a little too much anxiety for me.
It's long.
Yeah. And I like the Beatles, but I'm not a Beatles fan. I love some of their albums, but as a dynamic, like the band members, they irk me a bit. So it's hard to like.
They irk you?
Yeah, like I think like John Lennon thinks he's a lot funnier than he was.
Oh.
Like that kind of deal. Yeah. Like they're a bit full of themselves. I mean, granted, all musical geniuses, each one of them, not going to take that away. Because, I don't want their family to hear, this will get back to them, Doogie, if obviously. I badmouth them.
I know Yoko tries to watch everything I do. I did an open mic in Buffalo last night. She was there. And,
yeah.
we're very big with the Starkey family as well. This podcast,
Mm.
so
Yeah.
you don't like to ruffle any feathers.
Here's a little
Well, yeah,
trivia
like
for you.
they're musical geniuses, but like you wouldn't want to be on a Quizzo team with one of them. I
No.
feel like.
Paul seems like the least annoying. Well, I guess Ringo seems like the least annoying. He doesn't say anything.
Doesn't say anything. That's why he
good lord.
wins.
Although Ringo seems like he's the funniest. I will say that.
I would say that too, because he's quiet about it.
Yes.
Like
And
like
just throws out some
John is
zingers every
John
once
is
in a
the one who's like, everyone come around. It's joke time with
Oh,
John.
John's so annoying.
That's one of the clips I did see was Paul, I guess, was debuting. They were just sitting around. I think it was just three of them. I think it was Harrison and Ringo and Paul. And he was sort of debuting his song, I Got a Feeling. He's like, I got a feeling. I got a feeling. And just Ringo just finally just stops and goes, let me guess, this is called I Got a Feeling.
Yeah, that was great. Genius.
I was listening to a recording of theirs live at the big BBC, and they're talking. They introduce themselves, and he goes, "Hello, my name's Paul, and I play the bass. Hello, my name's Ringo. I play the drums. Hello, my name's George. I play the guitar." And then John goes, "I'm John. I too play a guitar. Sometimes I play the fool." And they go da 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 da. That was pretty funny. I thought that was pretty funny.
Just,
And then you
just
go
the
right
way he
into any joke is funny when you go right into a Beatles song.
a hit song. Yeah.
Yeah.
You always have a Hey Jude to fall back on.
Hey Jude.
Don't you think it would have been more interesting if it was about the creation of a good Beatles album?
I mean,
I'm not a big fan of Let It Be. I mean, if it was like
Not that good.
I love, obviously Rubber Soul. I really love Magical Mystery Tour.
Mhm.
Even though
Magical
it's not,
Mystery Tour is great. I have that right. Look at this. I have
not a
that-
full-fledged album. I always thought it was a full-fledged album.
Ooh,
I
Released
never
pretty
understood
much.
why
as
is it not a full-fledged album? I
It
don't
was
understand, 'cause
released
there
as
was
an EP originally, and then they ended up putting other songs on it after the fact.
okay, because I mean it's 11 songs,
Yeah.
and everyone Magical Mystery Tour, Full on the Hill, just right there.
Yeah.
Flying, Blue Jay Way, Your Mother Should Know.
Yeah.
I Am the Walrus, Hello Goodbye, Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, Baby You're a Rich Man with an All You Need Is Love kicker.
Now, Doogie, tell me, two of the songs are recorded during like another session, like I believe like Strawberry Fields and another one. And then they ended up tacking it on that album. I think they might have, it was Strawberry Fields and another song.
yeah, I have the vinyl back here, and I'm pretty sure that the track listing is different. I don't think they have Penny Lane.
Yeah.
On there.
Guys, welcome to Beatles Talk with Doogie, Chip, and Jeff. We are the three biggest Beatles fans in North. Whoa.
Ooh.
This is my favorite Beatles album. I don't know.
What
if
is
you guys
that?
Like Latin Escapade.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
That was in their experimental era where they
Yeah.
all mustaches.
Can you guys hear me okay? Is this
Yeah.
microphone all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
While Doogie's looking for this album, let's give Doogie a proper Junk Miles in there. Ooh,
There
look
it
at
is.
that.
So, oh yeah, no, I was wrong. The track listing is the same.
He
I
is
don't know
he's,
why. I thought
he's holding Magical Mystery Tour up, the LP,
The LP.
long playing vinyl.
come out to the mystery tour.
I love that. That song reminds me that was the first Beatles album my aunt, oh my God, ever. First Beatles album I ever got, my Aunt Mary gave it to us. It was an
Really?
original she had as a young Beatles fan. And we just scratched the hell out of it, left it on the floor. Home Alone.
I was gonna say that looks like the Home
That's a
Alone
great
house.
cover.
Yeah.
Doogie, do you
Wow.
pick some of these albums as a designer and an artist? Do you pick some of these albums based? There's one of my favorite albums of all time.
That
Rust
album's
Never
so
Sleeps.
insane. No, I pick all these albums for the music. I have a lot of books that I'll buy just for the cover.
Okay,
Like, oh, here, let me show you one.
sure. Guys, I'm going to introduce Doogie while he's looking for a book. We're super excited to have author, illustrator, comedian, author of Die Hard Christmas, the YA novel This Might Hurt a Bit, and much more. He's an America's Got Talent finalist, bass player for Alice in Chains. He's a multi-hyphenate. Ladies and gentlemen, Doogie Horner.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank
Here's
you.
the cover I wanted to show you. The people on the podcast won't be able to see it, but
It's a Penguin Books, a classic Penguin Books orange, and it looks like the title is blacked out, like some sort of CIA document.
Yep.
What's
It's
that
black-
about?
It's blacked out, but then it's blind embossed.
Oh my God, I see what you're
And
talking about.
So if you run your fingers over, it's 1984,
That's
George
amazing.
Orwell. But it's
Wow.
like embossed. So in person, you can read it if you shine it. the
Oh,
right
I
way,
see
but
it. When you tilt it the right way, you can
but it's
see
been
that.
redacted, and I fucking
Wow, I love it. That's
Greatest-
genius.
greatest cover ever.
Yeah.
What's a classic book that everybody should have read, Doogie? Like
My-
something of the I'll put it in the 20th century novel.
Yeah, that's good.
I would choose my novel. This might hurt a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't want to get too showy again for the crowd, but I
Um,
literally have it sitting right on my bookshelf over here.
Now,
Well,
is that title also blacked out? Like if I went to a bookstore, would I be able to see the title or?
I crossed
Yeah.
it all out myself. I took a Sharpie to it.
I wanted to call that book originally. It was called Horse Dogs, and when I sold it, the first thing the publisher said, "Well, we're changing the name."
Oh,
They're like, we're not.
What's
using
Horse
that name,
Dogs?
right? That was the original title of my novel because in the book,
Wait,
is like,
wait, this might hurt a bit.
yeah. So like 75% of the book is true. It's basically just based on my childhood growing up in Pennsylvania, like out in the country. And when we moved out to we originally were living in the suburbs, and we moved out to the country, and we're in the middle of nowhere. We're surrounded by cornfields, and we're on the porch of our new house, and we look across the street at the cornfield, and my mom said, "Well, that's weird. There's some horses like running through the cornfield. Why aren't they like behind a fence or whatever?" And then they were running towards us, and then they blasted right across the street, and we realized they weren't horses, they were dogs that were so big from a distance they looked like horses, and they ran straight at us. We screamed, we had to go in our house, and then they're like at the door. And so that's why I called the book Horse Dogs, because a big part of living in the country, I had to walk to the bus stop every day, and these fucking dogs would chase us, and they're farm dogs.
oh my
So, like,
God.
they're not tied up or anything. And there were 3 different farm dogs, and they were all like strange mixes. Like
Mhm.
one was a Mastiff mix, one was a Rottweiler, one was a Greyhound. And so he would chase cars, and he would catch them.
Of course.
Like he would
Yeah.
actually run as fast as the cars. And I'd see people being like, "Ah!" as he was just pacing them, like right next to them, like the T2. Anyway.
Are you afraid of dogs now, or are you a dog person?
Yes, I'm now terrified. We have a dog, but it's like a Shih Tzu, like
Yeah.
a mini, you know. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm very
I just
scared.
pictured the whole Horner family like, you guys, we should probably go out to the grocery store. We haven't gone in 2 weeks. Well, we haven't left the house in 2 weeks. I'm scared to death. How are we going to do this? And you guys are just peeking out, like, the boards that were hammered,
Yeah.
right, all along your house, just kind of like pulling back a board.
So one morning we were pulling out of our driveway, and the Rottweiler ran up to our car, jumped on the hood, and was barking at us through the windshield like
Was there any talking with your farmer neighbors about said dogs?
Yes, we tried. My dad went over. We were terrified. He's like, we told him what happened, and we were freaking out. And he's like, "Oh, it's no big deal. I'll just go talk to him." And so he goes to walk across the street. We're like, "No, don't go over there. The dogs will get you."
Yeah.
And he's like, potatoes. He's like classic dad. He's like, "It's fine." We watched him walk over. We're like, "He's dead. He's a dead man. The dogs, they're gonna get him." Like it's like Cujo. I was expecting. Like we were
Sure.
honestly thinking the dogs are gonna tear him apart. We didn't even know if anybody lived over there. Like the
Yeah.
farm was falling down. It was one of those farms where you're like, what do they farm? Like splintery gray boards, And there was a trailer, and we watched as he knocked on the door of the trailer, and he talked to some guy came out with no shirt on, and Dad talked to him for a while, and then Dad came back over, and he said, "Well, the guy says they're farm dogs, and he doesn't need to put them on a leash," and that's that.
Wow.
So, but anyways, if I were to recommend one book from the 20th century that was, I'd say either Dubliners or The Catcher in the Rye.
Say Dubliners, is that the first one?
Yeah, maybe Dubliners, maybe Catcher in the Rye.
Is Dubliners a more accessible James Joyce novel, would you
Yes.
say?
Yeah, it's very accessible. It's basically written like a normal book. And it's,
That's
as opposed to being like, I Twilliger, Badoopy, Puppet, Scamby, Twipper, Boop, Butter, Pea,
yeah.
Those are two books that I think are, or The Postman Always Rings Twice.
Really?
That book is good.
Oh, look at Chip writing it down. I see
I
him.
am.
I'm memorizing it, Chip.
I'm just
right
writing
here.
down horse dogs because I want to know what to be afraid of.
And you're drawing like a big horse dog chasing
Mhm.
like a little Doogie.
Yes.
I would love to see just a drawing of Doogie running real fast, like the cartoon where the
dust is shooting.
dust is, and his feet are little wheels, and just
Mhm.
like three giant dogs chasing Doogie.
Do
And
you-
like all his art is just flying everywhere, his folders and his.
Now, Doogie, you lived there for a while. Did the dogs calm
Yeah.
down? Did they get used to you after a while?
They never calmed down. I think the issue was that like we built our house. So they
Okay.
were used to just a field across the road forever.
Oh wow!
And now there's this
know what I mean?
brigadoon here.
And now they're
Yeah.
these people. So I think that was part of the issue. And then they would chase me. I would go to the bus stop and I would creep. I had to creep like there were some trees and I would like creep behind the screen of trees and then listen for when the bus was coming and then make a break for it.
Yeah.
And one day I timed it wrong and the dogs came out before the bus was there. And so I picked up a rock and I threw it at him, trying to hit him.
Yeah.
And I missed because I can't throw, I don't have a good throwing arm. And it landed on the ground near him. And he went over to see what it was and he picked it up and crushed it in his jaws. And so then I threw another rock at him. And then he picked that up and like crushed that in his jaws. And like I was able to kill time until the bus came.
Were you ever attacked by these dogs, like physically attacked, or just stalked?
They never caught me.
Wow.
I was chased a couple times and menaced, but they never caught me.
I love it. That's a story of like perseverance. It's a victory story. A young city kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's how you learn to survive in the great farmland of PA.
Honestly, I almost died of boredom. That was the more dangerous thing. I was glad for a little excitement. I was like,
Was
"Thank you."
do you think the dogs they had some sort of knowledge? Because you built the house on a graveyard, Indian burial
Well, there was
ground?
an Indian dog graveyard, but I think that's unrelated. I
Has
don't see
nothing to do with it.
any-
Okay.
I don't see
Okay.
any connection.
Yeah, I don't see a connection there either.
I don't know why people keep bringing that up. I don't know why Native Americans keep reminding me ghostly specters keep mentioning it.
Doogie,
we
now
have
you are currently living in. Am I allowed to give your coordinates?
Yeah.
You're currently living in Alfred, New York. Is that right?
Yep. We moved here. So when the pandemic hit, we left Queens, and we moved to the Berkshires for a while. To stay with family out in the woods, and we were there for like a year and a half, and it was pretty nice. There were beavers across the road, and
Did they
lot of-
chase you?
and it was nice. And then we kind of got used to like living out in the woods, and we were about to move back to Queens in the fall, and then Jen, my wife, got offered a job teaching animation at Alfred State, and she's always wanted to teach animation. And I think if we had been in Queens at the time, we wouldn't have even considered it. But after living outside the city for a year and a half, we realized like, hey, this is not too bad.
Is Alfred pretty rural?
It's very rural. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a little college town, surrounded by lots of like there's stuff around, but they're all really tiny. Like it's in a way it's not as rural as where I grew up in Klecknersville, but there's kind of like nothing around. Like if you look at it on the map, it's just green.
Oh wow.
it's just in the middle of nowhere.
And what type of burial ground do you currently live on?
So I'm not too worried about this one. It's just I don't think it's a burial ground. I think it's just a skeleton thing. There's
Like
a
a
lot of
dump sort of situation.
I think it's more like I don't think I wouldn't call it a graveyard. I call it like a skeleton dump.
Yeah, where they
what I
just
think.
people have skeletons, human
I think
skeletons, and they just
They buried skeletons here. I think it was a
Right.
skeleton,
Okay.
some kind of Native American medical school thing, I think
Okay.
is what it was. So
Yeah.
I'm not worried.
I get you.
Um,
No, I understand. I wouldn't be afraid of that either.
Sounds idyllic.
No, but it's
Here's
funny.
one thing
so,
I am afraid of, though, is this week's movie.
Cancer.
Yes,
The
well, there's
old,
that
the
too.
big C. Oh, can I tell you one thing about our town?
Yeah, I'd love
Yeah.
love to hear it.
So it's this really tiny town, and I know it's tiny because we had just moved here, and I was walking down the street in our little neighborhood, and a lady saw me, and she said, "Oh, you must be the comedian." And I said, "Yep." And she said, "Have you met the other comedian?"
Oh no.
I was like, "Oh no, we have to duel." And she's like, "There's another comedian who lives in town. He's from New Zealand." And so I went and met him, and he's like really funny. He's been doing it forever. He's been doing it for like 20 years. He was famous in New Zealand, and then but his wife is American and her family's from here, so then they moved here. And he was in Lord of the Rings.
Of course.
His name's Steve Wrigley. He's a really funny dude. And so we've like teamed up and been doing some shows together
That's
out
awesome.
here. And I've actually been able to do like enough gigs that I'm not going crazy.
That's
All
great.
right. How great is the New Zealand accent? I mean, I only know it from pretty much
Flight
kind
of the
of
Conchords.
Flight of the Conchords. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's the only, and I just love like it's hypnotizing to me. It's like mellifluous.
Uh-huh.
Just I could listen to it forever. And I can't pick out like accents really well, but I get so excited in a movie if there's a New Zealander, like a Kiwi,
Mhm.
and they start talking, and I lean over to my wife. I'm like, he's from New Zealand. She's like, very good, Jeff. We know.
Yeah.
That. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So do you
Yeah.
have like the two? You are in the top two of Alfred New York's best comedians.
That's right. Yeah.
Did you win Alfred's Funniest this year?
I came in second.
Okay. Well, you placed.
Pretty
I think that's
good.
important. Yeah.
Not bad.
Speaking of funniest, Doogie, you have a big show coming up. Helium, Saturday the 29th. Helium may be the
Yeah.
greatest comedy club in the East Coast. Are you excited to come back to Philly?
Yeah, I am. It's always nice to come back and see friends, and I'm working on. I was looking at my material, and I realized a couple days ago, and I realized, oh, I basically have enough material to do another album. So like new stuff that wasn't on my first album, A Delicate Man. So I was really excited to realize that, and so this Saturday is going to kind of be a dry run for the album, which I'll record either, I don't know, this summer or fall. I'll see what happens with COVID, but
Where would be your ideal venue to record your album?
I did my first album at Helium Philly, so I think I'm just going to do it at Helium Philly again. I mean, I also like performing at Steel Stacks in Bethlehem, which is my hometown.
Doogie and I just did that this winter.
Yeah.
Chip, you speak very highly of them. Like, don't they treat you really well up there? And is
They
that
treat
Steel
us
Stacks?
Great. Yes, they treat us great. It's just such an interesting place to hang out at. Have you been there, Jeff?
Nope.
Take the gals up
Yeah.
there someday. It's just a fun. There's obviously lots of events. There's indoor events. There's outdoor events. It's a whole. Would you call it almost a campus? I mean, it's just this whole. There's the stacks you can actually walk up on now. Like they have this sort of like catwalk type situation where you can walk up along them and then you go inside. And there's movie theaters. There's, at least half a dozen performing venues, either indoors or outdoors there. It's just a really fun. It's a beautiful place.
Nice.
Yeah. Or I would say maybe Vermont Comedy Club. Those are kind of my favorite rooms.
Montpelier, where in Vermont we talking?
Burlington, Vermont.
Burlington.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw out that I knew a town in Vermont.
That was very good.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I remember being in Burlington. This is wow, this is actually I think 20 years ago, exactly 20 years ago. I went up one summer. I had some friends who lived up there, in Burlington, Vermont. The tallest building in Burlington, Vermont. You want to guess how many stories
2.
the tallest
I'm gonna-
skyscraper is?
3.
It was
I'm
actually
gonna do-
11. Surprisingly, it was 11 stories. I was very surprised. 11
Now that doesn't
stories.
seem so short that he and I both said 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But it was it was an old folks home, which I thought was the weirdest thing about that. Like the one place where you usually want them
Yeah.
on the same, on one floor.
yeah.
They're like, nope, stack them up, kids. We're gonna
Wow.
stack those. And it was by far the biggest building in
and
Burlington,
they'd
at
just
least
be
10
like
years ago.
whoever the healthiest, youngest old folks, they had
Yep.
like the top floors, right?
Yeah, no elevators either. Just
No.
walk ups, baby.
You had these completely jacked, like 70-year-olds with just these giant legs who are just
the,
like,
the thighs on these octogenarians were just massive.
yeah. All right, boys. We could talk about octogenarians and comedy
All day.
clubs, rabid dogs all day long, and it's great, and I love it. And that,
But
and
let's save that for our other podcasts: Rabid
Yes.
Dogs, Octogenarians, and comedy clubs.
Mhm.
or maybe we could just tack it on to our new Beatles podcast, but we'll decide that
Ooh.
later. Guys, we're here to talk about the movie Short Circuit. Now, Doogie, what we like to do is we just give a little synopsis that we carefully write together, Chip and I back and forth, right? Sometimes we don't have time and we just take it straight from Wikipedia.
Yep.
So Short Circuit is a 1986 American science fiction comedy directed by John Badham and written by S.S. Wilson and Brent Maddock. The film's plot centers upon an experimental military robot that is struck by lightning and gains a human-like intelligence, prompting its escape. To learn more about the world, the film stars, of course, the amazing Ali Sheedy, superstar actor at the time, Steve Guttenberg, Fisher Stevens, Austin Pendleton, a couple other people. And the voice of the robot was Tim Blaney, number 5. Doogie, please set the scene. Where was the first time you experienced Short Circuit, and why did you choose this as your movie to discuss?
First time I saw it, I was a little kid and I was at home, and it was just one of those movies that I think we rented. I mean, I remember renting movies back in those days was just sort of like a blind grab, like my parents had no clue. They're like, oh, this is a thing. Let's get this, huh, kids? Like it was real,
It's a box. Let's get it.
but like you didn't know anything about movie. Like you go in blind, like now I feel like I watch a movie. I'm like, I already know everything that's going to happen. Or,
Right.
and I remember it blew my little mind. It's such a roller coaster, like the openings, like you as a kid seeing it for the first time, you don't know what direction it's going to go in. And
Right.
it's got a lot of turns too. Like it's funny. There's the part where the robot's like trashing Ali Sheedy's house, and that's hilarious.
Mhm.
But it's got a lot of tonal shifts. Like
Oh, yeah.
you think number 5 is gonna die. The military is chasing him. It's got a romance subplot, which is kind of weird. Yeah, I just remember it affected me really strongly. And I have a son, and we were once I kind of remembered Short Circuit, and I was like, oh, I should watch it with him and see if it holds up and see what he thinks of it. And it totally worked on him still. It's like there's some old movies that you watch them now, and I feel like new movies, the way they're made, they're a little more like precise
Yeah.
and well lit and like easy to follow. And old movies, I guess because they were working on film or they had more technical restrictions, sometimes they're a little like confusing or whatever. And they don't really work on modern kids, but Short Circuit totally worked on my son.
How old has your son when he watched it?
21 years old.
21.
But he's got kicked by a donkey, so he's more like
Perfect robot age.
very intelligent
Mhm.
dog, I would say.
Yeah.
No, he was 5 when he watched it.
Oh, that's great.
Now,
That is a pretty good. That's a good move. There's nothing really that a 5-year-old can't see in that. I was just, you know what I mean? Like that's pretty cool.
Well, there's actually
I
lots of stuff in there, but it's all the type of stuff that like goes over a kid's head.
Mhm.
You know what I
Oh.
mean? Like there's the one
Fisher-
part where the robot gives him the finger, There's a part where Ali Sheedy's naked in the bathtub and Johnny Five's like flirting with her and says,
Yeah,
I like your software.
And his eyes actually
Yeah.
bug out. His eyes only bugged out in 2 scenes, and that was one of them.
But you're right. In general, there's not. It's all stuff that would go over a kid's head.
Yeah.
Although I did notice a number. There was some language though too.
Yeah.
Does that bother you as a parent, or you just sort of let that roll?
I don't really care. I mean, as a parent, the stuff that bothers me more is the sort of subtle, insidious things. Like in a lot of movies these days, one thing I noticed about Short Circuit is it's a movie full of joy. I mean, there are
Yes.
moments of terror and fear also, but in general, it's a movie of joy. And a lot of movies these days, characters are really snarky,
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Ugh.
and they'll just do things like, "Ah, Mom," or "Oh, come on." And it's the type of thing where my son could watch that and absorb it and actually start talking like that,
Yeah.
as opposed to if he's watching a movie where, like Arnold Schwarzenegger kills a bunch of people with a machine gun. I could just say, don't kill people with machine guns.
Mhm.
Like it's clearly wrong. But this sort of subtle snark and subtle negativity,
Yeah, I think I
hard to
talk
guard
about this.
against.
I talk about this with my girls, and they're older. They're 13 and 16, and thankfully they realize this early. Like all the shows that are geared to them, there's no real dialogue. It's quips. It's someone quipping and someone quipping back, someone quipping back. When you watch these movies from the 80s, and my girls are very into 80s movies now, it's just real dialogue. Like
Yeah.
they're not one-upping each other on every sentence. Like Ali Sheedy's kind of like sweet exuberance and just naturalistic acting in this movie, and I also watched War Games, was so incredibly refreshing. She was in War Games, she was like a normal teen. She wasn't this amazing athlete or student. She was like failing a class, but she was just a real student. Matthew Broderick in that movie talked with a lot of ums and ahs, and not everything was a rejoinder. They just talked. And the same thing with this movie. I think you got a lot of, it got quippy at times. They used Fisher Stevens just to punch a lot of jokes in. But like you said, my girls went through that period without picking up that really sarcastic, sassy tone. Their friends don't talk to each other like that. And it's my only good parenting I've ever done.
That's good. You're so
Congratulations.
lucky you dodged a bullet there.
Now, speaking of good parenting, and you say you watch these newer movies with your son Doogie, and he's 5. This past autumn, when you sat him down and watched Midsummer with him, how did he respond to that?
We did just watch 2001: A Space Odyssey,
Ooh.
which a lot of people are surprised by. But it's rated G,
Yeah.
and I warned him ahead of time. First of all, I told him the whole plot of the film before we watched it, because I knew if I didn't, he wouldn't know what the heck was going on.
Yeah. Right.
Secondly, I warned him. I said, this movie's going to be slow
Mm-hmm.
and weird, and it's going to do stuff. It's going to be unlike any movie you've seen before. Like the way it cuts, or the way it frames things, or the pacing, or things like that.
And was he into it?
He was into it. He watched the whole thing. He was super into it. And I noticed something this time that I hadn't noticed before.
They were in space.
They're in outer space. The
Yeah.
year
Mhm.
2001. I never noticed. It's in the title, but I don't know why.
Okay.
I never know. No, there's very little dialogue in the movie, and all the dialogue that is in it is really empty, boring, chatty small talk. And the most human dialogue in the movie is given to Hal.
Yeah.
Like he's the only one that has dialogue that has any emotion or subtext, and everybody else's dialogue is just like basically meaningless. Like you could cut it out.
Mhm.
And like he's the most human character.
So where did he learn if the people he was monitoring didn't have kind of energetic discussions? Where did he learn to pick up nuanced language, right? Because isn't that who he learned from? Or did he?
I think what happened was he went to Ali Sheedy's house, watched a ton of TV, speed read the entire Encyclopedia Britannica.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it.
I love that scene when I was a kid.
Me too.
Like when he's speed reading and wrecking this joint.
When you two growing up, do you remember speed reading dynamics?
No, what's that?
Speed
so.
Reading Dynamics was this kind of infomercial where they would teach you how to speed read, and you would like send away for a videotape that was literally called like Evelyn Wood Speed Reading Dynamics. Do you want to read a book in 30 minutes, War and Peace? You can do it. And they would just show the people going.
Wow.
You were amazed, like as a kid. I'm like, if I had the money, I'd be an Evelyn Wood Speed Reading Dynamics student. But I never followed up to find out. Guys, I'm thinking it might have been a scam. I don't know, but
I've met people that claim they can speed read,
Hmm.
and I was like, "Do you have 100% comprehension?" And they said, "Yeah." I don't know.
it's another podcast we need to do, guys. We bring on speed readers and we
You know what
ask
would
them.
be- okay, this would be an interesting pod. We each, Doogie, you're invited back
Okay.
for a podcast in the near future. We each pick a book that we've never read before, a novel, 300
Uh-huh.
pages, whatever it might be.
Uh-huh.
We each pick a novel, the same book. We get the book, and then we give ourselves 30 minutes to read it. And then we have to come back and discuss the novel based on our understanding of it.
And you can
read it any way you want.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
First 10 pages, middle 10 pages, last 10 pages.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna look at the cover for a half hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea.
Nitpick, nitpick the cover, Doogie.
This Great Gatsby, I think the movie's about a floating lady face at a carnival.
He's not a very good swimmer. Yeah, that would be my takeaway. Yeah.
Doogie, when we talk about movies, we like to pepper in movie fun facts. That's
We
one of the
do.
things. Chip and I do a lot of research. It's insane. Do either of you guys know the official robot name? His official name? Obviously not. He doesn't take the name Johnny Five until the very end, as we know, when he really becomes fully conscious as almost a human. But what was his official name?
Wasn't his name
Ja-
like the Saint number 5, which I forget what Saint stands for.
Doogie, you would get super amount of points if you knew what the acronym or the initialism Saint stood for.
I think his real name is actually Jonathan Fivesberg.
Okay, and then he came to Hollywood, decided to.
Short
Wanted
name.
to get some work. He wanted to
Got
make
it.
sure he
A little
wasn't
less
typecast. I
Jewish,
got you.
yeah, he's a Jewish robot. Saint is servo. A is noodle. Dude,
You're nailing it.
close am I?
It's a strategic, artificially intelligent nuclear transport. He was a nuclear transport. That was his main job,
Transport nuclears.
transporting nuclears.
Hmm.
There were 15 working versions of Johnny Five on the set. And you wouldn't believe this, guys, but the fifth model, actually named number 5, was the only one to go haywire and go short circuit.
Really?
It took a dozen,
Wow.
and it took a dozen people to make Johnny Five move. And in the famous scene when you had the 3 robots doing the very funny Three Stooges, like 18 guys working that. There was no
Wow.
no
How'd they fit all
CG.
those guys in the suits? They're so skinny.
They're super skinny. That's the
It was
thing.
the
They-
80, It was the
they-
80s, Doogie. Little nose candy.
Little
Those
nose
guys.
candy.
Those guys.
yeah,
didn't eat
there
a
were a
whole lot back then.
lot of. Actually, you can look. I think they're the official casting is online where they just said like super skinny guys, pipe cleaners for arms, pipe cleaners for legs. Big heads are fine. Big heads are fine.
They were the same ones that got baby Jessica from down in the well.
Oh, wow.
Remember that? Yeah, they were the
Yeah.
same. It was the same 18 guys that went down into the well to.
Do you
to
know,
get
Chip?
baby
I don't
Jessica.
mean to brag, but I'm kind of friends with her, and she signs all her emails with "I hope this finds you not in a well."
Boy, I would love to be a pen pal with her just for
Does
that.
she really? Wow. Does she
She's
really?
Fun. She's fun. She's
Tell
a
me the
total,
truth.
She's a-
total fun.
what a gas.
Wow.
Yeah.
She still likes to be called baby too. Like she's like, it's baby Jessica.
Mhm. Yeah.
Chip, what were some of your favorite? Like what sucked you in? Why did you? I know we both loved it. I really loved this movie. I watched it recently. Chip, what did it for you? Why are you a Johnny Five fan?
I could be misremembering this, but I feel like I had a different experience going into the movie than Doogie did, where I feel like this was going to be like the next. because this was like 86, like the next Back to the Future, I just remember seeing trailers for it, seeing
Oh,
commercials for it, and being like, this is going to be the biggest thing in the world. He's this hilarious robot. I
Mhm.
can't wait for it. And then I remember loving it. I don't think I ever saw the sequel, but I remember renting this movie. I remember watching it, thinking it was hilarious. I will say, I'm not saying that it doesn't hold up, but I think, which I enjoyed it very much the second time around, or probably the 10th time around, because I probably watched it 9 or 10 times when I was a kid. But I felt like my memory did not match what actually happened. I think I just built it up in like, it was like, I mean, good movie, great structure. And like you said, there was tonal shifts, but like not much happened. A robot got away, went to a lady's house, and then they were kind of on the run. That's basically the gist of them. But like, if you were to ask me literally 4 days ago what happened in Short Circuit, I would have been like, oh yeah, he was a robot, he ran away. He and Ali Sheedy and Steve Guttenberg opened up a pancake restaurant. They had lots of fun. They went on trips to Paris. And there was all these other robots, and they all had like played robot games, and it was this whole thing. And I forgot how simple the movie
it's a
was.
really simple movie, actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
But I think that's why it's
my-
great for kids, because you can like follow it. It's easy
Mhm.
to understand.
Thinking about it, there were no subplots, right? I mean, if you considered like, that total
Wow.
dick Frank, like trying to, get involved and,
Yeah.
like the main, problem was Nova trying to get the robot back, but they threw in Frank, which total abusive boyfriend. I'm glad she got rid of him.
Yeah.
But that was probably the only real subplot.
I have a question. So when E.T. came out, did Steven Spielberg get sued by the guys who made Short Circuit for copying Short Circuit?
I think he did. And I think that was a big cross to bear for him. And that's why he
Wow.
pushed himself to make even better movies, because he had to pay
Yeah.
off the Short Circuit people.
No, but so this is a total E.T. ripoff, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like,
It's not as bad as Mac and Me, but it is pretty much, it is the rip. Yeah. I mean,
Well, and it
with
was
a
even the thing
robot.
that she thought that he was an alien as
Yeah.
well. Like she's like,
like
"Oh,
it's
you're obviously
amazing
him."
she didn't be like, oh my God, you're an ET. Here's some Reese's Pieces.
That scene
Well,
had very E.T. vibes. Like
It
when
did,
he
like just to
discovers
get him into the house, like
Yeah.
shot for shot was
Yeah.
So I guess we'd call it just an homage, right? No ripoff, just an homage.
homage. I like the word
John Badham knew what he was doing. He was a
Yeah,
pro.
I think it's distant enough that it's like, yeah. Oh, by the way, I pronounce his name Bad Ham,
Oh,
but
I
Okay.
see
Bad
he's
Ham
English, and
is
you.
probably right.
I think you're right. I
Like,
think it's
Bad
bad.
Ham. Okay.
Would that be great if that was your name and that was your thing to always correct people?
Bad Ham.
It's
It's
Bad
actually Bad Ham. It's pronounced
I
like
will-
Batman, but Bad Ham. I'm Bad Ham. I'm Bad Ham.
one of the things that this movie gave us, I don't believe there was an official soundtrack to the
Gave us
movie,
so much.
but it gave us the El DeBarge song, "Who's Johnny."
Yeah.
I believe it's called
Ah.
"Who's Johnny," right?
Played 3 different times in the movie. Like
Yeah.
they really
they
knew
got
they
that
had a
use
hit
out
on
of
their
it.
hands with that song.
Great song. I just
Mm-hmm.
remember such an 80s soundtrack song. So much fun. It just got such great hooks, and it delivered. I'm gonna call it the worst music video of all time.
Now, Chip, would you say that's because it was so bad? One of the stars of the movie didn't appear in it, so they used a cardboard cutout of him
A black and white cardboard
Black-
cutout of Steve Guttenberg.
for no reason.
Just that he
Wow.
didn't have to be in it.
He didn't have to be in it. And Ali Sheedy literally looks like she would rather be anywhere else in the world, but she's such a good sport.
There's an
That's-
actual scene in the video where she's physically jumping over a shark. You can see it in the background of the court scene.
Dude, yeah, a Doogie in the audience, just go fire up when this is over. Fire up 2 things. Fire up the video for El DeBarge, Where's Johnny? Also fire up the opening title sequence, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It is really, the typography is very cool,
Mhm.
very tense, like electro, almost Kraftwerk type music. And the vibe, if you didn't know just going into it, you'd be like, we have a robot thriller on our hands. There's no, then it goes right into this scary, tanks getting blown up by these robots. And you would have no idea that this is going to turn into, as Chip and I called it earlier, a romp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird. There's a lot of tonal shifts. There's a lot of really funny parts. Like Johnny Five has a tracker on him and he gets rid of it. He throws it onto a farmer's pickup truck. And so then the army stops the pickup truck, and it's an old man and an old woman. And when the army stops them, the woman whispers to her husband, "Hi, is the weed still in the glove compartment?"
She said, I literally wrote this down because I thought it was the funniest line. I hope you took the grass out of the glove compartment.
She calls it grass.
The grass.
Grass. Chip, I thought you would enjoy. There's no one played a better asshole in the 80s. No one than G.W. Bailey,
No.
Captain Scroder.
Which is a great name, by the way.
Scroder. Yeah.
Scroder.
Yep. Got it in
Great.
there.
Straight up there with Darth Vader.
He was the Steve Guttenberg cop movie. He was
Police
the
Academy.
Police Academy.
Oh yeah.
Which it didn't dawn on me until after the movie. I was like, he was the foil in Steve Guttenberg's other big 80s romp besides Three Men and a Lady.
Yeah, go
And Then and
check
a Baby.
G.W. Bailey's IMDb, and it literally is just like major asshole, another, and he's so good at it. Like I was so excited to see him, and let's just get this out of the way here. Fisher Stevens played an Indian engineer, Ben
yeah.
Jatubia. He really, I read a whole article about it. He really regrets it now. It was very sad for Fisher Stevens. Regrets doing the brown face. It definitely haunts him. He immersed himself in the work to play the role, not as a stereotype. It included reading books about India, studying with a dialect coach, living in India a month before.
What?
Yes, this is all true.
This guy put more work into his role than I guarantee anybody else put into their role
Oh,
in
God.
Short Circuit.
Oh,
It shows. He's great in it. I didn't know he wasn't Indian until I saw
Either
it
did
as an
I.
adult.
did you guys know that not only did you and the audience at the time, this is one of his first roles, did not know he was an American. There were Indians who believed he was real Indian. They thought he was a current Bollywood star at the time. I forget the guy's name. And they were sending him congratulations on your new movie, breaking into the American market. This guy had to put out an official press release. I'm not him.
Wow.
Like that's
Wow.
how good Fisher Stevens, and like you can read the interviews with him. It is kind of sad. He's just like, yeah, I messed up. And then John Badham, of course, was just like, can't people take a joke? It was fun. Like he's an old curmudgeon.
Yeah, he's
dude.
not saying.
He didn't give a shit.
Part of me feels bad for the actor too. I think nowadays, obviously, like you can make those decisions. Like back then, it wasn't. Obviously, it wasn't as the forefront. And it's a guy who needs an acting job, and they're like, "This is what you're gonna do," and so he does it. I feel like you have to put it more on the director or the casting director.
Well, there's a whole weird thing where he was hired to play it as an American, just as a geek.
Okay.
And then they're like, John Badham's like, no, I want someone like a real geeky engineer. Let's get an Indian. And they're like, great. So we have to get an Indian actor. He goes, oh no, we're going to hire Bronson Pinchot. So they fired Fisher
Ooh.
Stevens, brought on Bronson Pinchot because guys, he can do accents.
Yes, he
Yeah.
can.
So they brought Bronson
Get out of
Pinchot
the
on.
city, cousin Larry.
Yes. And someone else can do accents, I see. And guys, if
Mm.
you like that character work, if you like impressions, January 29th, Helium Comedy, the master of impressions, Doogie Horner. Get your tickets now.
I'll be doing all my impressions. Irish. Good day there. Chinese. Hello.
Do your New
Um,
Zealand, Doog.
Oh, New Zealand. Second breakfast. The ring is so heavy. Pennsylvania Dutch. Bring Bologna. I got so many different. The man of 1,000 voices.
I mean, don't give
Baby.
it all away right now. You're giving it away for
Jeez, yeah.
free right now, Doogie. Jeez.
My
Yeah.
God. So they brought Fisher Stevens back. And then when they brought him back, he's like, I'm going method. And he literally went to India and studied. And
Wow.
he was had some funny lines, some good lines. I didn't like his line about getting a Woody. Thought that was weird. But that
Yeah.
was like his.
So he wasn't really Indian, but Johnny Five was really alive, right?
Definitely 1000%.
Okay.
Do you guys you just made your son watch an incredibly boring movie
Mhm.
and then this movie, you're really into AIs coming to life, gaining
That's all
sentience,
we do.
correct?
Yep,
That's all.
we
So,
do.
so
Mhm.
what's next for the Horners? We gonna watch iRobot, Westworld, Chappie? What are we thinking?
Flight of the
gonna do it.
Navigator.
What was that?
Oh,
Doogie?
we have already done Flight of the Navigator. Did you know? I'm pretty sure the Navigator is voiced by Pee Wee Herman, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Wow.
That was surprising.
That was one of
Um,
my favorite movies as a kid. That was heavy in the rotation of the Chantry
yeah,
household.
Flight of the Navigator.
Yeah, that was one I rewatched recently, and I thought it didn't. Again, like when I watched it as a kid, I was like, "Oh, this movie's epic," and I watched it now, and I'm like, nothing
Nothing happens.
happens.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So, what
And-
are some of your favorite robots going? you know,
Wild.
Yeah. Well, that may not
Robots
go-
Gone
but-
Robots Gone Wild. I like
Mhm.
Volume 3, where they're down in Palm Beach
Mhm.
and the robots are on the yacht taking their tops off.
Yeah, that's a
That's
fun
good
one.
one.
Doing
Robots Gone
coke?
Wild. Yeah, I like that one.
Pass me a line.
Yeah, I like AI, the Steven Spielberg film. That
That's
one's pretty
Haley
good.
Haley Joel,
Yeah.
right?
I can't watch that one. Do you remember the scene where, so it's like a little robot, but this couple gets a little robot boy, but he looks like a human. He's
Yeah.
a, what do you call it, a cyborg, I guess.
Mhm.
A replicant, shall we say?
Mhm.
And because they can't have a kid, but then they actually are able to have a kid. So now they still got this replicant,
Oh,
though.
it's heartbreaking.
And there's a scene where the real kid and the replicant are both in the pool and they're both drowning, and they go in and they save the real kid, and the replicant sinks to the bottom of the pool and he's just looking up through the water at them, and he's okay because he's a replicant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a brutal movie.
brutal.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of brutal, I think the message, and I don't know if your son got this, but I just like the whole message about this movie, Short Circuit, is that it's a robot who learns about his own mortality.
Does he?
He really does.
But he's immortal. He's a robot.
but he's afraid that he could die. He could be.
Oh,
It's
right.
true.
disassembled.
He's very afraid he's going to
He's
die.
very afraid.
That
he
was
doesn't-
a very poignant scene
about
when he
mortality
figured
in
out.
general, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, when he
disassemble.
figured out what disassemble and he lost his effing marbles, he's like, this guy's not getting disassembled.
No.
Like that was a very triumphant moment. You're like, you're taking back your life here, buddy.
I tell you what moment was not triumphant, but was supposed to be near the end when they kidnap Steve Guttenberg and bring him out to the desert to try to convince him that Johnny Five really is alive.
Mhm.
And Guttenberg tells him a joke,
Oh, this joke sucks.
and then Johnny Five doesn't laugh. And so Gutenberg's like, oh, he must be a robot. I'm like, no, it's just a bad joke, Steve. But then Johnny Five is alive enough to know, oh, I have to pretend this shit's funny so this guy thinks I'm alive.
Mhm.
Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha.
He would be a great audience member going to Helium on the January
on
29th.
January
Send
What would
that
you
guy.
do, Doogie, if you walked out on
Yeah.
January 29th and 2/3 of the crowd were robots?
I would break out my French impression.
Okay.
Oh, I would love a, how you say, croissant?
They would love that.
There
Robots
is
love French humor.
a mouse under my cooking hat controlling my actions. I do not wash my hands. I eat cigarettes for breakfast. I have many affairs. My car is so small.
Yeah, I think you're
I am
nailing it, Doogie.
French.
Chip,
Gerard Depardieu is so handsome, and all of our bulldogs are French bulldogs. We just call them bulldogs because
Yeah.
you know.
Dude.
That's what I would do, probably.
I
love
think
it.
that's a great idea.
Chip,
Yeah,
we're
that's a
getting
great-
this for free. We're getting this for free.
I think we are.
Mhm.
I'm excited.
Chip, now you mentioned there was a Short Circuit too. It didn't
Yep.
star. It didn't star. Steve Guttenberg, when they offered it to him, said the script wasn't ready, so I'm not doing it. And then Ali Sheedy was too expensive at this point. So Michael McKean, obviously we know from Lenny
Lenny.
and Squiggy fame. I'm sure he's done other things. He took the job. Chip, you did some research. There was more than just a Short Circuit too. Is that correct?
Well, there was
Wow.
supposed to be.
Oh,
There was
okay.
supposed to be. There was actually almost 20 other sequels
Holy good
that
God.
were
20?
written. Yeah, that were written. Because some of them don't. Sometimes it's direct to video or it's just streaming. It's not the big budget that the first one was, but they unfortunately, just for one reason or another, they had to keep scrapping them, which I thought was, so first of all, so in 86 was the original, 88, I believe, was Short Circuit 2, which I don't remember seeing. So 1989 was supposed to be Short Circuit 3. It was called Short Circuit 3, the Iran-Contra fiasco. And it was really more just about procedural stuff and about just the court case itself and the hearings. Not very funny. Like, he had a few funny quips, but he's like, you call those arms? And then he does a thing like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It didn't work. So they scrapped that. They halfway through shooting, they just stopped. 1992, there was Short Circuit 4. It was called Mosh Pit Machine. It was where Johnny Five goes grunge. So he's like wearing a flannel
flannel shirt. I remember hearing about that one.
Spending time at Starbucks up in Seattle, going to a lot of rock shows, shooting up horse. And they were like, you know what? It just doesn't seem to be right. Yeah. There was the one, I don't know if you remember this, in 1993, there was Short Circuit 5 that was supposed to come out. It was called Johnny and the Juice. This is 1993. It's called Johnny and the Juice. Johnny Five and O.J. Simpson were supposed to solve mysteries together, but for whatever reason,
what happened though? Why didn't
it got shelved? It got shelved for one. I don't know if O.J. Simpson wasn't available
that he was framed for.
Yeah,
remember when he got framed for those murders?
Yeah, he got framed. So maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. The next year, 1994, was supposed to be Short Circuit 6, that was subtitled Johnny 7-Eleven, where Johnny Five played a cashier at a local convenience store, and his ne'er-do-well robot friend Johnny 7 worked in an adjacent video store, and it was shot in black and white. It was very dialogue heavy. Apparently, it was very similar to another movie that was coming out around that same year, so they had to scrap that one. Unfortunately, yeah. 1997, he was going across the pond. This is going to be the big one. Short Circuit 7, Buckingham Bot, where Johnny played Princess Diana's new robot bodyguard. That one they greenlit it and then decided not to have it. 2001.
So there's 13 more of these coming?
Yeah. 2001, Short Circuit 8. It was called Johnny 9/11. I couldn't find much about that one.
Oh, come on. Johnny 9/11.
Yeah.
Redacted the whole.
Redacted.
Really?
Yeah, they took the
whole script.
Here's the interesting part. From 2003 to 2012, it was Short Circuits 9 through 17 that actually did come out direct to video, where Johnny was either a vampire and or a zombie robot, because during those years, that's the only way you can make a movie. And then in 2016, it was Short Circuit 18, Johnny VP, where he was supposed to play the first robot vice president to the first female president. That one got scrapped. And then finally, in 2020, it was supposed to be Short Circuit 19, Johnny Chafing Dish, where Johnny Five starts his own catering business for a number of large indoor gatherings. And that one, for whatever reason, in 2020, got scrapped as well. So unfortunately, we haven't had, a lot of sequels to the Short Circuit series.
I would love to see one where Johnny Five stops 9/11, kind of like revisionist history type one, where he time travels and gets on the plane. And
I bet you Fisher Stevens would have a great accent.
Yeah,
he plays one of the terrorists
in that one. By the way, one of my favorite lines in the movie is something that I still remember to this day that my brother and I used to say to each other all the time.
I know what you're gonna say.
You know what it is? Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I just want to let everyone know. Yeah. I love this line too.
It is, he was fighting with another robot, and he said, "Hey, Laser Lips, your mama was a snowblower."
Yeah.
Whoa.
And what a put down. And my brother and I loved using that line. That
my mom heard me say that, and she's like, "Where'd you learn that? Where'd you learn language like that?" And I told her, and I wasn't allowed to watch it anymore.
Oh my
God.
God.
I told her, I was like, "I don't think that's an insult, is it?" And she thought about it for a minute, and she goes, "Well, it's not a compliment."
Oh, wow.
That's a great mother line right there. That's a great mother line.
Your mother's a
that's
snowblower.
Mrs. Horner just dropping complete science on everybody.
They would be confused, but they'd be like,
So Doogie, have you not seen the Who's Johnny video, the music video, where they're in a courtroom?
But I
Okay.
know what you're talking about. That song they played a
It's a
couple
great
times.
song.
I'm like,
Yeah, but okay.
does every song in this movie have the name Johnny in
Mhm.
it? What's the deal?
Yeah. Did you
This
know,
is, by the way,
guys?
this was the actual movie. This was you can see the moment in the movie. You can see, I think it's at like 72 minutes in where, of course, Ali Sheedy was a member of the Brat Pack.
Mhm.
Of course, there's an exact moment in the movie where you can actually see it go. She went from being a member of the Brat Pack to the Goot Troop, as I like to call it. That's Steve Guttenberg and all of his
No.
his underlings and his people that he hung out with.
Oh,
Yeah,
Chip, what is it called again?
the Goot Troop. So
The
she went from the
Goot
Brat
Troop
Pack to the
to
Goot Troop,
Troop.
and it was just
Holy
just
crap.
Steve Guttenberg and his entourage and his
Like
all of his
Michael
friends.
Winslow. Let's see, with Steve
Michael-
Guttenberg, Michael Winslow,
Michael Winslow,
J.W. Bailey, of course.
yeah, G.W. Bailey, definitely part of that.
Maybe a young, maybe it's before they were in the movie together, but maybe a young Ted Danson or
Yeah, T Dance was in it. There was
T-Dance?
Max
rapper?
Headroom. I think Max Headroom was in there.
yeah, Matt Frewer.
Matt Frewer, yeah, he was
Yeah.
a part of it.
I heard Adrian Zemed was in that.
Adrian Zemed, he was definitely in the Goot Troop. That was a fun one. The legendary Wid, I believe this is his early days. He was involved in that. There was a lot of really good. I think Kirk Cameron was in the Goot Troop before he became
Yeah.
born again Christian.
Yeah. I love it. I love the Goot Troop. Guys, did you know the sound of Johnny's laser? Actually, it was the noise from Ghostbusters when the proton packs power up.
Really?
Wow.
So when you see the laser, this is one of the Johnny 5 models. Like when the movie was over, they still had the models. Wes Craven directed a horror flick called Deadly Friend. He used the chassis of Johnny 5 as his deadly friend. And I have to tell you guys, I've watched this movie multiple times. Young Matthew Labatreau, who was famous for being in Little House on the Prairie. His girlfriend, he's a geek. He builds robots. His girlfriend dies. He brings her back to life using the robot brain, and puts it into his girlfriend, thinking he's going to, save her. Let's just say things don't go to plan. There is one of the greatest scenes ever. Just type in, when you're done, Doogie, you have 2 pieces of homework. Watch the Where's Johnny video. Type in,
Who's Johnny?
who's Johnny? Type in then Deadly Friend movie, and you will see a scene where the girlfriend does something amazing to an old lady.
Ooh.
The movie's great, by the way. Great in Wes Craven. I'm a big fan. This had so many fledgling Wes Craven ideas that he didn't have the money or probably time or resources to flesh out, but definitely watch a little Deadly Friend.
Starring a young Christy Swanson.
Yes, she
who
is.
You could say today is a deadly friend.
Yes.
I think that's an interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
And Anne Ramsey, the great Anne Ramsey, Ma Fratelli is in it.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's it.
she's great.
Let's just say she plays a pivotal role in one of the greatest science fiction scenes of all time.
Okay, I'm in.
I might be overselling it, but I might not be.
I don't think you are.
Guys, I have to. Yeah, go. Dukes.
Speaking of Kirk Cameron, we visited his house in Hollywood when I was a kid.
Whoa.
Did you
Was
go
he
inside
there?
of his house?
He was there. Yeah, my sister had cancer, and the Make-A-Wish Foundation asked her what her wish was, and she wanted to meet Kirk Cameron. So we flew out to Hollywood, and we went to his house, and we hung out with his family. And then that night was a Hollywood Christmas parade, so she drove in the parade with him in a convertible, and I hung out in the green room while she was doing that. And I met Mr. T, and I got his
No way.
autograph. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And I wanted to get Spuds McKenzie's autograph, but he wasn't back there.
No. What? Who was nicer, Mr. T or Kirk?
Mr. T was very mean in person and intimidating, and he autographed my book so hard that he actually ripped the paper.
Doesn't know his own strength, Mr. T.
Was he playing the role, or was he just mean?
He was just mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what it is? Like when you wear 30, 40 pounds of metal around your neck all day long, it's so much pressure on it, up to the medulla oblongata, the whole thing. It just really turns you into not a nice person.
Have you seen interviews he gave like on Letterman?
No.
These are really like, he's not acting. He's mad.
He's just an intense mad dude.
He's an intense mad dude, and you can tell he's the type of dude that thinks like everybody's making fun of him,
Oh,
everybody's laughing at him.
That's
And
rough.
the interviews with him and Letterman are fantastic. They're so uncomfortable. It's just Mr. T being legitimately angry at David Letterman. And
I'm
Letterman
sold.
trying not to make fun of him. But you know how hard it is to not make fun of somebody that's
Yep.
taking themselves too seriously? You just want to like, ah.
oh, I'm so intrigued. I love hearing, because I would just figure it'd be like, oh, actually, Mr. T, and once he turns off Mr. T, super sweet guy. Like that's what I was expecting. Yeah.
I don't think so. I heard when he moved in, when he like made it big, when he got rich, he moved into some big mansion.
Yeah.
And the most amazing feature of the mansion was it had a long driveway, and lining the driveway were a bunch of old trees that were really tall and like 100 years old or whatever. And he chainsawed them all down
Yeah.
just to piss off his neighbors.
Wow.
And that's why he's not called Mr. Tree.
That's the
did.
reason.
He did actually do that.
He did do that. Yeah. Did you know there was a movie? I couldn't find much information about it. There was a movie made with and by robots, and basically no one wants anything to do with it. Would you guys like to hear? Like, I found some of the actors who were in it. And
Yeah.
I would.
You guys
I
want to
would
hear
love
about it? Or
that sounds as a cinephile, I believe Doogie would probably want to hear it.
yeah,
definitely.
again,
I'd be
it's
interested.
a robot movie made with and by robots.
Wow.
Let me look.
Pretty
I'm
amazing.
looking here. Starred Robot Redford.
Okay.
He was teamed up with Bot Bacula. Remember Bot Bacula?
Sure. From Quantum Leap fame.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's see who else in it. Wally Ringwald
Okay.
from the Brat. Yeah,
Yeah.
she was also in that. Directed by Megatron Howard. Megatron Howard. Yeah,
This sounds-
I'm going through the whole
I
thing
got to
here.
IMDb this. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. Android Hathaway. She's great.
Mm-hmm.
She was in that. Music done by, God rest his soul, Andrew Droid Weber.
Just a genius before his time.
Yeah.
For robots.
Gone too soon.
Yeah.
Two more guys. Two more. Again, this is tough to find this information. Ice T 1000. Ice T 1000 was in it, playing an angry cop.
Yep.
He was paired up with Optimus Busta Primes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
so that's I forget. There's no name. I don't even know. Imagine the name was. But if you guys find anything about it, that's a movie made with and by robots.
I'm gonna look on Hulu tonight to see if it's on there, because that's a movie that I want to watch.
What other, Chip? Do you have any movies where robots gain sentience? Sentience.
So it definitely
Bas-
reminded me of Flight of the Navigator, which I
Yeah.
definitely enjoyed as a child. I'm trying to think if there's you know what movie that I love that is just such a creepy movie. I don't even know if it's meant to be, just the way it's shot is creepy. Is I think it's an old Ray Bradbury story, The Electric Grandmother. I Sing the Body Electric, the Electric Grandmother. Have you ever watched it's been done a few times. Like, it was done as a Twilight Zone episode once, but then there was a movie starring, what's the guy? Is it Ed Herman? Is that his name? The guy from The Lost
Herman
Boys? Yes, Ed Herman Munster.
Ed Herman Munster.
Is that his name? Ed Herman?
I think it's like Ed Herman. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Edward Herman, maybe.
Edward Herman. Yeah. The Electric Grandmother. I'm looking up to see. It was just such a creepy movie where basically, like, he was the father, the mother had passed away, there was 3 kids, and they sent away for literally this woman who was this like old lady basically, but she was a robot that
Love it.
came to sort of a Mary Poppins situation, but she was a robot. Yeah. Really creepy, but it's like a kid's movie to a certain extent. But just there's something off about it that I love. That's great. 1982. It was this remake, or this version of it. I think it was a Ray Bradbury film.
Do you guys want to learn something or something you might know?
Yeah.
Doogie, what is the origin of the word robot? Do you guys know where the word robot comes from?
No,
This is great.
an
It's a-
Asimov story.
well, Asimov, like, yeah, basically Asimov, I believe, what was he? 50s maybe. He was the guy who really started writing about robots. He did the Law of Robots, the 3 laws. I believe the first law, guys, a robot may not injure a human being or through an action allow a human being to come to harm.
And yet they do that all the fucking time.
Right.
Mhm.
They don't really adhere to their laws. They're just
They do
like,
not.
they're like, yeah, we live by them, but not really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Second law, a robot must obey the orders given to it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with order number 1.
Hmm.
And of course, the third law of robots, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. A lot of laws. If you're a robot, you're like, life's going to be great. I'm a robot. And they're like, wait, 3 laws. Read
Yeah.
it.
I will say I live by those 3 laws. So
Yeah. Is Kirby coming in?
I live by one of them, but I'm not going to tell you which. Yeah, Kirby's right here.
Is that no?
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Is he a real boy or is that a robot boy?
Don't answer that question.
Hi, buddy. Do you like robots?
Yes.
Who is your favorite robot? You don't have to have a favorite. I mean, I like all. Do you like BB-8?
He's the little round one from the new Star Wars movies.
I guess I do.
He's fun. Like if he came in my house, BB-8, I would just kick him. I just see how far I could kick BB-8.
just like a soccer ball.
Yeah, right?
Jeez. He's
Oh,
got
fun. No,
feelings.
BB-8. No, it's nothing mean. It's
No,
nothing
it'd be
mean.
fun. I
He
think
He
likes
does that everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
Just like R2D2, everywhere he goes, people try to put trash in him. They think he's an awful trash can.
Yep. Kirby, can I ask you, did you like the movie Short Circuit?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
What was your
Well-
favorite part?
Yeah, this is good.
When Shoket like comes alive.
Yeah.
kind of.
That was a good one. That's
He was a nice robot, right? You didn't expect him to be so nice, but then he turned into like a fun dancing robot, which I think is a good way
I
for a robot.
expected him to be nice.
Yeah. He was a good guy. Would you like to hang out with Johnny Five?
Yes.
Kirby, one more question. I know I don't mean to pepper you with questions. Would you accept a high five from Johnny Five?
Yes.
Me too.
Mhm.
We were watching 2001, and in the beginning, they're talking to Hal, and they ask him, they're like, Hal, does it bother you being controlled by the humans? And Hal says, no, I am happy to do my work. And Kirby said, he's lying.
He knew it. He knew it.
Bad
Kirby,
robot.
you don't trust Hal one bit, right?
Mhm.
Kirby, which movie did you like more, 2001 or Short Circuit?
2001.
2001.
Whoa.
Kirby, what's if you had to pick one movie, what's your favorite movie?
Zombie.
There's
What
this
is
new movie on Disney called Zombies.
Okay.
Kind of like High School Musical, but it's about this town where there are zombies, but they've figured out how to make them so they don't eat people, and so zombies and people have to like coexist together, and
Okay. That sounds fun.
like the
I-
cheerleading squad. And
Kirby, I would not high five a zombie because, like, the hand might come off. You got to be
That's right.
careful, right?
Mhm. Before, Kirby's favorite movie was probably one of the Home Alones. When you're talking about all the Short Circuit sequels,
Mhm.
there's 6 Home Alones.
Yeah.
The new one, 6, is horrible, but the other, like, there's 1 and 2, which were in theaters, but then 3, 4, and 5 were all direct to video, but they're actually really good,
Oh, wow.
especially 3 and 5. 5 has Malcolm McDowell in it.
Wow.
4, I would say, is the weakest. 5 also has
Because he flooded the whole house too.
he floods the whole house.
He floods the whole house. Don't you do that, Kirby. You're probably a pretty well behaved little dude, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, you wouldn't flood a house. Not to brag, Doogie, but we had one of the stars of Home Alone 2 on our podcast. Thank you.
Yeah.
Whoa, you had Joe
Home Alone-
Pesci on your show?
Home Alone and Home Alone 2. Yeah. Yeah.
I just keep going through the names. Whoa, you had Macaulay Culkin? Whoa, you had
Keep
like,
going.
it was one of the pigeons. It was
No, we had the delightful Senta Moses one of the children, one of the sisters. She also gave us one of the best little acting things. She was 5 years old. She was in Blues Brothers. She was dancing on top of a cop car. That was her thing. And while she was dancing, this was an exclusive to our podcast. She
Wow.
fessed up. She peed. She did a little pee-pee while dancing. Look, Kirby, she did pee-pee on the car while dancing and didn't tell anybody.
Oh, by the way, guys, that movie that was made by robots and
Yeah.
all had robots in it. I was looking it up on Wikipedia. There's a couple names that you missed.
Oh, okay.
Rom Cruise was in it.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know
And-
that. Yeah.
Computer Chip Chantry.
Whoa.
He's one of my favorites. One of my
Yeah.
favorites of all time. Yeah,
He does a tech podcast, Computer Chip Chantry.
I believe he does.
He's
He
great.
does it all in binary code though, so it's hard to listen to. He's like
Yeah.
1011100110000111110
Do you think you guys would maybe want to ask me, what do you think Steve Guttenberg and Ali Sheedy are up to now?
What do you think Steve Guttenberg and Ali Sheedy are up to now,
They're
Jeff?
still on that farm in Montana raising raccoons and stuff.
Yep.
That's what I'd be
They-
doing.
They did that for the longest time, but it looks like, again, I'm just pulling up Wikipedia here. It looks like Steve Guttenberg went into the food business. He opened up a restaurant called Steve Guttenbergers and was promptly sued by the people who own the rights to Good Burger.
Yeah,
So
Uh-huh.
Steve Guttenbergers
it's a strong case.
had to close, but he was not to be undeterred. Opened up right after that a veggie burger place called Steve Glutenburgers.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
Did
that's-
okay. His biggest selling burger was, let's see, it was a Steve Gouda burger.
I mean, if you're gonna have a cheeseburger, that's the one to have.
It's a veggie cheeseburger called Steve Gouda burger. It eventually, ran its course, and then he got into publishing. His current business called Steve Gutenberg Press, and you're never
Mhm.
going to guess what types of books he publishes.
I can't imagine.
The books about burgers.
Good books about burgers.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's good to know. It's good to know what.
You know what?
Big
He
G's
went
been
from
up to.
actor to entrepreneur, and of course, you guys interested in what Ali Sheedy's doing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it looks like also she was good friends with Steve. She started a couple of businesses. She started Ali Sweeties, a candy shop in LA. Ali Sweeties did well for a while. Then, of course, like most people her age, she got into baking. And Ali Needy's, that's Kneadys, Ali Needy's Bread Bakery.
Hmm.
Didn't last that long. And of course, right now, I think everybody knows her famous meat on a stick restaurant, Ali Shish Kebabs.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
know
if you're
her bird store, Allie Tweedy's.
Well, and then
her-
her men's blazer store, Ali Tweedy's,
high end,
Yes.
very high
with
end.
D with a D in there. Yeah.
spelled differently, yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, she has
basi-
that porta potty company called Allie Sheedy's.
And also that bowling facility, Sheedy's Alleys, I think.
Whoa.
But she
she's-
also, Sheets, she has sort of
Mm.
a spin-off of that called Allie Sheetsies.
Okay.
It's like Sheets, but it's
Wawa just is not happy with that. Like a celebrity coming in and just
no, they're not.
completely.
Yeah.
She's got a lot going on, guys. I love it. I love
Very
how
busy.
prolific she is.
Speaking of Ali Sheedy, the movie, I saw something. I was very excited. I even sort of yelped it when I saw it because I made a note to tell you. I saw a big Buffy at one point during the movie.
Yes.
There might have been more, but I saw at least one.
So did we.
Did you
so
catch
did
it?
we. Yeah.
What?
Uh, Doogie, to give you Chip and I, there's a word we like to throw around. My wife and I created it about 20 years ago. Whenever you're watching a movie and you have a petite person, a normal, like your normal woman actress, when she does a scene that involves stunts, they replace that person with a person who is much larger. Back in the day of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I don't think they had female stunt women. So they basically just had like a 6'2", 220-pound guy who'd put on a blonde wig and do like some major fight scenes. And we dubbed that a Big Buffy.
Ah,
So when you watch any movie where the stunt person is clearly not the actor, just say, "Oh, Big Buffy."
I thought when
And-
the dog jumped off the roof and she caught the dog, that was clearly somebody else.
Yes, there was a lot of Ali Sheedy stunt
There was
doubling.
one where she jumped onto the back of her snack wagon
Yes.
when I think Johnny Five like drove off, and it's just definitely a man in a wig jumping onto the back of a truck.
I love it.
A
That's
man
when
in a
you,
wig was jumping on Ali Sheedy's snack wagon, and
Mhm.
we were all happy to see it.
We
Oh.
really were. I have a quick. Sometimes I do these lightning quizzes.
I love it. Let's do
Doogie,
it.
would you want to put your short circuit knowledge up to a lightning round quiz? It's 5 seconds.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm sorry, 5 questions, 30 seconds. It goes very quickly. You have to answer. There's really not much time. It's just
Johnny
gut
Five
instinct.
loves lightning.
yeah. You
so-
have to.
Wow.
You have to do it under 30 seconds. So, Doogie, let me know when you're ready. And I got 5 questions about short circuit. I want to see if you can answer these. And again, you can't. You can't.
Just
There's no
boom, boom,
delay.
boom,
So,
boom.
yeah.
Just go. Okay.
Okay, you
I'm
ready?
Ready.
Okay, ready. 3, 2, 1. Number 1. Who's Johnny?
5.
Who's Johnny?
5.
Who's Johnny?
Johnny Five is Johnny.
Who's Johnny?
Five. He's fine. Johnny Five is fine.
Who's Johnny?
5.
Who's Johnny?
What? The
You did it in
robot.
10 seconds. You did it in 10 seconds, Doogie. Give him a round of applause.
I
You got 'em all
panicked.
right. I
Just
think you got 'em
nailed
all
that
right.
I said
lightning
the
round.
first thing that came to the. You told me to just. It was just a reflex.
Well, you
Yeah.
got them all right, Doogie. Well done. You know,
Who's
you know your short
Johnny?
circuit.
They say, not in his special way. He's the robot, you idiot. He's the main character of the movie. Who's Johnny? Are you kidding? He's the main character of Short Circuit. Who's Johnny, the robot? Are you even paying attention? Hey.
Okay, the I need to get, and Doogie, I apologize you haven't seen it. I need to get into the plot
Yeah.
of the Who's Johnny video.
The, yeah, there's no chip. There's no.
I
It
It's
need
like
makes
a who
no-
done it, but it's a who Johnny. Who's
for
Johnny?
whatever reason they're
They're
just
trying to
in
figure
Johnny.
it out. It's a
Oh,
they're
who's
in
Johnny?
a courtroom. There's a mean prosecutor lady. Ali Sheedy gets brought up on the,
the
bench. at
prosecutor
one
like, who's
point.
Johnny?
Yes.
She's
Oh,
like, you
she
can't
does.
handle
She-
the Johnny.
Yep.
She does that. Yeah. And she just, and it's, then the robot shows up and you can tell like they really had a shoestring budget because it was only ever, I think you only ever saw parts of the robot. It was
Just
just
the
like
robot hand. You
a
just
hand
saw,
would
and it
pop up every once in a while.
wasn't canon. Trust
Yeah.
me, Doogie. It was not canon. It was
No.
not the same digits. It was just. I believe it was like, basically, like like an old
Grabber.
Yeah,
Old
it
person
was.
grabber.
Yep. It was an old person grabber.
How could you get Ali Sheedy, but you can't get the robot? What was he doing? Was he busy?
I don't know. I guess they didn't give the rights to anyone. But they had like a budget guy in a Nova outfit, right, playing the
Yes.
the
As a
Scoter
heavy.
role, right?
And then DeBarge himself was sort of, I guess, maybe the one lawyer who just sang his way through
Mhm.
and the
a lot of lawyers will do that. Like a lot of lawyers, if they know they don't have a great case, they kind of want to win over the jury by singing their defense in a beautiful falsetto.
It's called
by the way,
pulling a
do you know
DeBarge.
why? Do you know why El DeBarge goes by the name El DeBarge?
He's Spanish.
No.
He's Spanish barge.
Do you know, Jeff?
Well, I do. This might have something to do with it. He actually did something illegal during that scene, and he got debarred.
He did
from-
get DeBarge. That is
Yeah.
that is true. That is definitely true.
Yeah,
Uh,
but no, Chip. I'm sorry. What's the
Well,
answer?
there was that happened in the story of,
I'm
of
sorry,
the
Chip.
video, but the
Doogie, 90% of our podcasts are. I'm sorry, Chip.
we
Oh,
have
sorry
we have
about that.
facts, and I apologize right back because this is actually a serious fact. The reason that he went by El DeBarge is that the name JV Prince was already taken. So he's basically just it's second string Prince is what he was,
Mhm.
and but he couldn't use JV Prince because it was already used. So he's like, I'll just go by El DeBarge.
We're going on a lot of tangents here. I never answered the question for you guys. Robot. The origin of the word robot is a relative newcomer to the English language. It was the brainchild of Czech playwright, novelist, and journalist Karl Čapek, Capek. It is a good crossword puzzle clue. We'll say inventor of the word robot, Capek. He introduced it in his 1920 hit play RUR, or Rossum's universal robots. The word robot in Czech comes from the old Slavic word rabota, which means servitude or forced labor.
I
You
like
ever
it.
heard some people say the word robot and they say it like robot?
Yeah, I
The
don't
robot-
like that. Robot.
What's going on there?
I'm very uncomfortable. It's like
What's
when
the
somebody
deal?
calls soda pop. Yeah, I know.
Or
something's
it's like
fishy.
when your elderly relatives just like, you guys want to watch a Robot Cop? You're like, Robot Cop. They're like, yeah, robot, the Detroit Robot Cop.
Robot cop.
Mhm.
Do-
You're like, all right,
do
we
you
can watch that.
Do you kids want to go look at television? That was one in my grandma's house. You wanna
I
go
wonder if
look at
somebody did
television?
make a knockoff called Robot Cop, because you
Oh,
could.
there's got to be. There's got to be.
Robot Cop.
How great was RoboCop? Holy shit. That's a great, fun movie.
Yeah, that's a good
I
movie.
wouldn't want Kirby watching that with me. Too many questions.
You know what I was recently? Oh, his main question would be, why don't they shoot him in the mouth? We
That's
watched-
everybody's question, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wouldn't expect it. I'm not saying I'm not to expect obviously a very bright young boy, but
Thank you.
yes, just wanted to lay it out there, but not normally. Yeah, can we just
Yes.
shoot him in the mouth?
Yeah.
I think that
He's a
you think
problem
the
solver.
bad guys are like, that wouldn't be cool. That'd be not
Yeah.
fair. Not
You
really
think
fair.
you think bad guys? There's a code of like ethics where they're just like, I could just lay him out right now, but
It's like in Pretty Woman, she wouldn't kiss on the mouth. It's the
Yes.
same
They
principle.
won't shoot him in the mouth. Yeah.
and she was also AI.
She was, yeah.
You find
People
out
don't
at
know
the
that
very
Pretty
end.
Woman. Yeah, that you find out that like he went to marry her, and then at the very end, he went to put like the necklace on her, and but the flap came back where like her battery is, and you
Yeah.
can see it.
Wow.
You know, it's a great movie. Speaking of Isaac Asimov, I, Robot, Will Smith. That's a really good one.
Really?
I really liked it because I really like the android in it. His name's like Jerry, or has like a human name. He's by the end, you're rooting for him.
That was his I phase. He had I Am Legends, I
Yeah.
Robot, I, which
Mhm.
is some kind of Italian comedy.
Yeah. Do you know in Spanish, the movie I, Robot, you guys know the name of it?
Yeah,
Yo, Robot.
yeah. That's what it would
Literally,
be.
if you go and
Yo,
look at the
Robot.
Spanish
Mhm.
language version, the book just says "Yo, Robot." Will Smith's face.
If I can get back to one of my favorite robot movies,
Get back.
I'd love you to.
you just reminded me of this. It's not a movie, but an actual episode of the old Twilight Zone where we lived in a world where boxing was outlawed because it was too violent.
Oh yeah.
So they had robot boxers, basically like Rock and Stop and robots, but like life size. And a horrifying episode of, I don't want to give too much away, but a horrifying
Yeah.
episode. I think it's just called Steel is the name
You,
of the
you
episode.
can give it away. I mean, came out 60 years ago.
Well,
We'll get a
so-
lot of spoiler alert, Chip.
Yeah,
in
it
the
was
comments.
spoiler alert right here.
Yeah.
Turn it off if you don't want to see it. But it was an old boxer himself who
Yep.
was like the manager and the owner of the robot, but it was a broken down old robot. The robot wouldn't fight. So he disguises himself as the robot.
I've done that.
I'll go in and fight. You've done that, Jeff, right?
Mhm.
And he went
Not
in the ring
fun.
and he fought
Not
a
fun.
robot, and it did not go well.
No.
Do you guys? There's a movie called Blue Steel with Hugh Jackman, the actor.
Huge Jackman?
Isn't that his name? Hugh Jackman. He's
Well,
very
there's
ripped,
two of
very-
them. There's a big one and a little one.
Yeah,
What's the
Little
big
Jackman.
one is
That's Lil Jackman.
named Little Jackman. The little one is named Huge Jackman, which is
Mhm.
confusing.
They were two of the members of the Jackman Five, I think, right?
Oh,
Yeah, there were how many people were in that?
Five.
John,
Four.
Johnny Five.
What's
A Huge Jackman role. It was the big one. Yeah,
his sister's name? Is it Hugh Jackwoman?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
I think the movie's called Blue Steel, where he like manages like they're robot fighters, and like people love it because like the robots are so real and so like humanized that you feel. And it actually, when it came out, people are like, "This is going to be bad," but it's turned into a movie. People are like, "No, this is good."
It's like Robot Jocks. I've heard the same thing. Like people actually like that one too, and it's got a lot of cool practical effects.
Okay.
You
I
ever heard
love
of Robot
talking.
Jocks?
No, I have not.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things about it. And it's similar. It's one of those movies that came out and people were like, this thing's gonna stink, and it had a low budget, but so they did a lot of practical effects, and I think it's highly regarded as sort of a B movie.
And I think people do appreciate if anyone could pull off practical effects, anytime you can be
Mhm.
like, hey, I wouldn't mind a little break from CG. Maybe just see some real robots beating
Yeah.
the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
Do you guys like Chappie? I really like Chappie.
I
I
never
did not
saw
see
it.
Chappie.
Chappie, and what was the other one that
Hugo?
no,
District 9?
District 9 stayed with me, man. Holy crap. That movie, I really liked it. And the final, robots are just living in like a ghetto. And the same thing with Chappie. Like at the end, you're like, wow, it went there. And that's all I'm going to say. No spoiler alerts, but I really like both of them. And Chappie also had that South African crazy rap duo in it.
The
with
Antwoord.
Oh God.
I love those guys.
I can't get enough of them. I will
Yeah.
watch anything Die Antwoord does. And what a powerhouse duo.
Yeah.
They should get like a, sitcom, just like on a, wouldn't that be fun?
The Antwoord.
I'd watch it.
Who would their neighbors be?
Like the same neighbors you had growing up on the
Yeah,
farm.
just giant dogs.
Giant
Mhm.
dogs.
Every episode them fighting dogs.
But those two would literally make friends with the dogs. Those two would have those dogs
Mhm.
as their pets. Those dogs would have tattoos, would have very cool haircuts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guys, any other robot? I could literally, it's Saturday night, I could talk about robots forever.
Batteries not included.
Batteries not
Ooh.
included. Good one. Yeah.
Beep, beep, beep. Do you guys remember that? I don't know if Steven Spielberg directed it or if he just produced it. I feel like around that time there were so many movies that he would produce, but I think he was like kind of secretly semi-directing them too because they had that
Wow.
look.
Yeah.
Nutshell it
And-
for me, Dukes. Nutshell. What are we talking about with batteries not included?
So it's like in the Bronx or something, and it's
Mhm.
mostly in this building, and it's about all the different people that live there. And I think the building is going to get knocked down, and the people that live there are trying to stop that from happening. And this weird little robot shows up, and it's all banged up, and then a bunch of other little robots show up, and they're like a robot family,
Oh,
and they're really smart, but they can't really talk. And then they slowly figure out that they're aliens and they have powers. And then John Leguizamo like smashes one of them with a
Jesus,
pipe
John.
or something like that. It's really heartbreaking. Like the John Leguizamo character really puts you through the emotional ringer. He's one of those characters that you're like, you can tell he's a nice guy, but he does bad things
Yeah.
and makes bad decisions. And I remember it was a real heartbreaking, emotional roller coaster type of film.
I'm 100% in on this. What
It's
year are we talking?
Really good.
Like 86, 87.
Maybe 80s. Yeah.
What about there's a movie, I don't have it on my, I remember Daryl with like D
Yes.
period
I
A.
think, was it the kid from was it Elliot from E.T.?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was about, he was also a robot boy.
Mm-hmm.
He was
Oh.
an android, not in the vein of like a replicant, but just a straight up android.
There
And
was a-
speaking of replicants, Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Come on. You know what? You know what the best version of Blade Runner is? All you nerds out there saying which one's the best. They're all great. I like every one of them. Give me as much Blade Runner as possible, Doogie.
I've only seen the edited for TV version. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
With all the curse words taken out and commercials every 15 minutes. And I like that version.
I
Yeah.
prefer
It's
Blades
long.
of Glory, the Will Ferrell ice skating film.
Who was the robot in that one? Was Will?
I
Or was-
believe it was Jenna Fisher from The Office. She
Do you know
was
who
in it.
also was in that? The wasn't the guy from Pedro movie? You know, the
Napoleon Dynamite was in that. Yes.
Napoleon.
Oh, that's
yeah.
not. So
John Hader.
I was in
John Hader.
Alaska and we were like in the middle of nowhere and we were at this weird little bar in Alaska and they were showing Blades of Glory and I was watching it and I was like, oh, there's John Kensel.
John Kensel is in it.
He's in it.
John Kensel, Philadelphia comedian John Kensel.
I know
plays
John.
the Swedish, like one of the German judges or something. 'cause
Judges.
he
He's a
looks German.
judge. I have to tell you, I was there with him when he got cast as that. I was visiting him for like 10 days out in Hollywood. And I went with him to the casting. He went, and they wanted to cast me as like some sort of Scandinavian gent, like again, basically an extra.
And you said
But-
no, give it to John.
Because
Yeah.
I was leaving 2 days later, and it was like shooting in like 2 weeks or something like that. But I was going to be like basically a glorified extra as some
Do you
sort of
think
judge.
did they look at you and they're like, you could be maybe like Will Ferrell's younger brother?
I was his big Buffy.
You were his big wow.
I was his Lil Will, as they call it.
Does Kensel, does he live locally now, or is he still out there?
No, he lives in Philadelphia area.
Yeah, so I thought, okay.
I can't give his address out. I don't think he would like.
I would like to know his just
Do it.
DM me his exact
I'm gonna
address.
TP his place on Halloween.
Was the Wid in that also? Legendary Wid? Was he in that movie?
I've heard a legend. I was around a campfire once, and an old timer told the legend about him being in it, but I don't know if that was just monkey shines or
Mhm. He was also in the movie Monkey Shines.
yes. That movie's incredible. I don't want
Yeah.
to get off topic. There's no robots
Nope.
in it, so
Well, we could say there is, and people
Yeah.
would just probably accept
Yeah,
that
you
as
could
true.
say that about any movie. Like I'm
Hey
just
guys,
trying
when you watch Monkey Shines, try to pick out the robot. If you're smart, you can.
to- hey, Fast
Yeah.
Times at Ridgemont High. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. See if you can figure out which one of those kids is an actual robot. Go
Trick
ahead.
question, because it's the two redheaded customers when Brad is working at the
Yep.
Frying Dutchman. They come in.
Yes.
They are both robots.
Yes, they are. Very good. Very
Clones or
good.
replicants. What they
Mhm.
were like models 9 and 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was weird because robots shouldn't have to worry about blemishes, but they
No,
were worried
But
about
they
a
did
blemish.
because that's how well they were disguised into the culture of
Right.
Southern California in the early 80s.
So basically, like that'd be fun, Doogie. Any movie you recommend, end it with just try to pick out who's the robot and then just walk away.
mhm.
Do it to your son. Make him go nuts. He would go nuts.
Yeah.
He'd be like, holy shit, there's a robot in this? Dad.
He'd be like, it's Christopher Walken.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right. So yeah, definitely. All right. I'm gonna watch Batteries Not Included. I want you guys homework. I want you to watch Chappie.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
want you to watch the video. Chip and I beg you to watch the video
Please.
for El DeBarge.
Who's Johnny?
Who's Johnny?
Great
Again,
song. Great song.
they-
Terrible video.
As
they ever-
Doogie
Who is
pointed
Johnny?
out, everyone should know who Johnny is, but they don't. Right?
Here's Johnny.
Here's Johnny.
They
What do we
say-
got coming up, guys? We have Doogie's show on the 29th, Helium Comedy. Chip, you are doling out comedy at a rapid clip also, I see.
You're doling it out?
Mhm.
I should
In
try
little
that.
chunks.
Constant
try
comedy.
doling.
I'm going to be at Helium Comedy Club January 10th through the 12th.
Nice.
I'm sorry, February 10th through
February,
12th. January 10th through the 12th already happened with Tammy Pescatelli, who I don't believe is a robot. And then
Maybe.
it's a stretch.
Mhm.
10th through the 12th, I'll be at Helium. And then on the 13th and 14th, I'll be at the Borgata
Oh.
Casino for Valentine's Day. I'll be doing I'll be doing some comedy there. So yeah.
And you like the casino because they treat you to pretty good food, right, Chip? Don't you get like a
They do. They give you free food. They have a secret. There's a secret. I
Secret-
shouldn't be even be saying this.
No,
There is
I know,
a
but-
secret lair just for employees where there's an employee cafeteria. And
just
it's-
go through back doors and
Yes.
you go through like the HVAC, what do you call that up there? That we're Doogie, you're an expert of the
Die
movie
Hard.
Die Hard.
It is.
Air
You do have to
ducts.
crawl through
Air
the
ducts. You're
ducts.
crawling
Go
through
in the
the air
ducts.
ducts and just going down and maybe get
Yeah.
some Peking duck.
But then there's a Sunday bar at the end. So,
Oh.
it's all worth it.
If you were trying to say ducks, like the
Mhm.
kind that he crawls through, but people thought you were saying ducks, the kind
Yeah.
that fly, if you tried to clarify by saying air ducks, it wouldn't clarify
No,
at all.
It would, no.
I didn't think of that.
Just
Like
would
all
Make it
ducks are
more
air ducks.
confusing.
All
yeah.
ducks are air ducks.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
All
Yeah, think
ducks are
about
air
that.
ducks.
Mind blown. Hope nobody's smoking marijuana while they listen to this podcast.
We
We don't
blew that
allow
mind.
it actually.
No,
Chip,
we
like,
don't.
we have a
Oh, really?
disclaimer.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
actually
you go to our
Good for you.
website. Disclaimer
Yeah.
is we're
Good
a
for you.
we're straight edge. We're
Nice.
one of the few straight edge comedy podcasts. We
Hmm.
ask you not to drink or smoke or have or please don't have sex during listening to.
Whoops.
Please don't. Oh, sorry,
Someone,
dude.
right
Yeah.
now, someone's going, whoops.
Well, not
too
when you're
late."
recording it, Doogie, just when you're listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recording it fine. We've had guests.
And I have to say, like, I'll admit, like, I am on a heavy dose of horse tranquilizers right now, but those are for horses.
Is
Yeah.
it horse
People- that's not
tranquilizers or
people drugs.
dog horse tranquilizers?
It's horse dog
Horse
tranquilizers.
dog tranquilizers.
Horse horse.
I was leaving a show last night and I passed this pizza place. I was in Buffalo. I don't mean to name drop. And I pulled into this pizza. It was the kind of pizza place you could tell, like, oh, this is like a good local place. I park kind of behind it. I go and I get some pizza. I eat the pizza in my car. As I'm eating the pizza in the car, a car pulls up behind me and kind of parks, like double parks on the street. And so I can't get out, but it's not a problem because I'm eating my pizza. I don't need to get out. So, but I'm watching the people in my rear view mirror, and there's a bunch of people in the car, and I notice they're like sipping little things of whiskey. And I'm like, well, that's fine. They're partying in their car. Then I notice they're smoking weed. I'm like, well, that's fine. They're partying in their car. Then I noticed they're doing cocaine.
Oh
And I
my
was like,
God.
oh man. And I'm almost done with my pizza. In a minute, I'm gonna have to talk to these people
Yeah.
and ask them to move their car. And they're all
Yeah.
coked up and stuff. And I was like,
Oh.
oh, geez. So I got out of my car and I was like, hello, hi. And they didn't see me. Of course, they're very busy doing drugs. And I was like,
Yes.
hello, like getting closer and closer. I really don't want to knock on the window. I'm just like
Yeah.
waving. I'm like, hello. Finally, I'm right up on the car and I'm like, hi. And finally, they go, ah. And I go, hey, could you move just a little bit so I can get out? And one of the really coked up guys was out. He goes, we're leaving. And I go, you don't have to leave. If you just move, we're leaving. It's all right, fine. Okay.
Did you move the cocaine mobile? I need to go home.
Yeah, I was like, oh man. They were probably looking at me being like, boy, this guy's really going to town on this pizza.
Is he a
There-
robot?
What if they're on like a cocaine podcast right now and they're like, talk about cocaine. They're like, yeah, so last night, we're doing cocaine. The host is like, this is awesome. Keep going. We see,
This is good stuff, guys.
and you're not going to believe who we see. And the guy's like, I don't know. And they're like, do you guys know Alfred New York's second funniest comedian? And the host is like, yeah, Doogie Horner. Like, yep, it was Doogie going to town on some pizza. And they're like, holy shit. What's that cocaine podcast called, Chip? We've listened to it. We discussed it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
God,
Yeah.
I forget what it is. It's like a Buffalo based.
Yeah, it's a Buffalo-based
cocaine
It's a really good one too, because
podcast.
I listen to it a lot. I should look it up on my Stitcher. It's yeah, I think it's do you remember what it is, Jeff?
Oh yeah, it's Buffalo.
I think
Buffalo.
Buffalo. Well, that's
Buffalo.
that's one of the offshoot podcasts, I believe.
Okay. They have a whole, it's a podcast network. I know that.
Yeah.
It's a Northeast cocaine podcast network of cocaine. People love cocaine.
My favorite powder, I think, is the one that I was thinking of. Is that the one? I think
it's called Snowbelt.
Snowbelt. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's on Slate, I believe. That's a little high end. It's called Snowbell at Slate, where they go through and basically it's like, hello, welcome to Snowbelt. On today's episode, we discovered a group of people in upstate New York who do cocaine. This is our story. And then they're like, have you guys tried Pajamagram? If you want to get the latest in pajama footwear, try our sponsor, Pajamagram. It's really good. I guys, again, Doogie, like you, I do impressions as well.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's my Slate.
Do you guys
podcast.
listen to the cocaine podcast, This Colombian Life? Or I've really got into it. And I know it's a little controversial, but I'm really into him, and I think it's really good. The Blow Rogan Experience. That one is, I think, really good.
The Blow Blogan Experience.
The Blow Blogan Experience.
I
Yeah.
think Blow Blogan Experience. I think that was the one we were thinking of.
That's the one we're.
What's
thinking
that
of.
regional cocaine podcast that's up in Maine? It's called Chowda and Powda. I think.
Shout and Powder. Really good one.
I need subtitles for that. Like I have to watch it on YouTube. 'cause
So,
I can't
yeah.
understand a word they're
I
saying.
understand the word they're
It's
saying.
such a
They're
thick
talking
accent.
so fast, and their mouths are full of thick soup, and they're talking a mile a minute.
Plus the accents, and you're just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Oh, regional podcasts.
Regional podcasts are just rough. Yeah.
Doogie, we need every guest to basically we end the show with them telling us.
About
You
the
have
time
to-
they killed someone.
Well, if
Well,
you want, if you have anything
we
to
go.
admit right here,
Nobody's listening, right?
Nobody's listening. You tell us, you have to tell someone new why they should watch 1986's Short Circuit. Is that when it came out? I believe that is correct.
Because I think it's the type of movie you don't see anymore.
Mhm.
That is, first of all, in theaters these days, they just don't really release comedies because they're like, well, that's what TV is for.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't go to the theater really to see comedies, or if you do, they're not. They're like, I don't know. There's a different vibe. They're trying to make them big, but this is, in a way, like you said, a small story, but with high production value. It's got, you never know which way it's going to turn. You're like, is the next thing going to be sad or intense or funny? It's a really interesting time capsule, but at the same time, I think it still holds up. It's funny, it's quirky, it's unique. It seems like the people making it are enjoying themselves.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, it's when you can tell somebody's having fun, that's fun. And yeah, for all those reasons.
I think that's great. I think that's going to win
Love
over a
Doogie.
lot of short circuit naysayers and doubters. I think we're going
And
to.
they're out there.
Oh, they're out there.
Most of them are anti-vaxxers also. I don't know why.
It just lines up.
Because they're stupid people, I guess, because they're ignorant sluts.
Or they
They are.
listen to the Blow Rogan Experience, and I
Blow
think
Rogan.
you know,
A
they
lot of
get
people-
a lot of really good facts there.
Doogie, thank you so much. We're going to see you at Helium. Right after that, we're going to stay at Helium. We're going to camp out there. We're going to see Chip at Helium. 2 weeks after Chip at Helium, guess who's going to be at Helium?
Who?
Jeff Lyons,
Me. I'm doing some HVAC work there as a
Oh,
side
cool.
project. Yeah, they need
That's
to
great.
get their
Earn
their
their
air
keep.
their air ducts cleaned out, and I have
Sure.
some experience doing that.
That's
So
great.
all three of us are going to be at Helium.
What kind
be
of
there.
air ducts?
The metal ones, not like the not
Oh, so
like
decoys?
no, not like the animals, the air ducts you see in the air.
Oh,
Actual like HVAC air ducts.
okay.
Yeah, I know people get that confused all the time. Air
Yeah.
ducts.
There's two kind
Guys,
of air ducts.
Make sure you check out Doogie, his own podcast called Air Ducts with Doogie Horner on the Slate Podcast Network.
Mhm. Really
Chip
good
and
one.
I, we're guesting on the Blow Blogan podcast
Mhm.
next week. We're very excited about that. Good night, everybody. Thank you, guys. It's
Good
been
night.
a pleasure. Good night.
Thank you,
We'll see you.
Doogie.
Thank you.